Hey everyone, welcome back to VoxQueue. Today, we've got some wild ones. Grab a drink, settle in, and let's get into it. There's something about people getting a little too comfortable, like they start thinking your stuff is theirs. And this is where it gets worse, because Daniel didn't just have a problem with someone using his bike, he had a problem with someone slowly acting like it belonged to them. Daniel lived in a quiet apartment complex, nothing fancy, just clean, predictable, and mostly respectful neighbors. And one of those neighbors was Lauren. At first, Lauren seemed normal, friendly even, the kind of person who'd wave in passing, maybe make small talk about the weather. But then, small things started happening. Daniel would come home, and his bike would be slightly out of place. Not stolen, not gone, just moved. A few inches one day, a different angle another. At first, he brushed it off, but then the seat height changed. Then the tires felt slightly off, and one day, the chain had fresh grease on it. And here's what they didn't expect. Daniel started paying attention. Really paying attention. He started taking photos before leaving for work, checking angles, checking placement, making mental notes. Because now, this didn't feel random anymore. It felt intentional. And that should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. So Daniel stopped guessing and decided to prove it. He set up a small camera facing the hallway where the bike was kept. Nothing obvious, just enough to catch movement. At first, nothing happened. Days went by. Then, one afternoon, his phone buzzed. Motion detected. He opened the app. And there it was, Lauren, walking over casually, looking around, and grabbing his bike like it was hers. No hesitation, no second thought. She adjusted the seat, rolled it out, and left the building. Like this had been happening for a while. And that moment changed everything. That night, Daniel didn't confront her immediately. He waited, let the silence sit. Then finally, "Hey, Lauren, quick question." "Yeah? Do you ride bikes?" She laughed. "Sometimes, yeah. Why?" And that's when he turned his phone around, paused on the exact frame, her hand on his handlebars, her face clear as day. The room went quiet, the kind of quiet that tells you everything. "Oh, that's not what it looks like." "No," said Daniel calmly, "because it looks like you've been using my bike." And that should have been the end, but she tried to argue, said it wasn't labeled. Daniel just stared at her. "So you adjusted the seat, the chain, and wrote it off multiple times because you thought it was public?" Silence. Real silence. After that, she never touched his bike again. And sometimes, that's all it takes. Proof. Not anger, not shouting. Just undeniable proof. You ever see someone walk into a crowded place and act like the rules don't apply to them? Because Tessa didn't just want a seat, she wanted someone else's. And this is where it gets worse. Isaac had been waiting nearly 40 minutes. It was a packed holiday weekend. Every table full, every seat taken. And finally, his name got called. A small table in the corner with a charging outlet. Perfect. He sat down, plugged his phone in, and finally relaxed. Then Tessa walked in, confident, loud, already irritated. She scanned the room, locked onto his table, and walked straight over. "Excuse me, I need that seat." Isaac blinked. "Sorry?" "That one. I need the charger." At first, he thought she was joking. She wasn't. "I've been waiting," she said, "and I actually need that outlet." "So do I," Isaac replied. She looked around, then waved towards staff. "Hi, he took my reserved spot." Now that got attention. People started looking. The manager walked over. Calm, professional. "Do you have a reservation?" Tessa smiled confidently. "Yes, it should be under Tessa." The manager checked, paused, looked up. "I see your reservation for 7:30. It's 6:10. In that moment, everything shifted. The kind of silence that spreads across a room. People nearby stopped eating, watching, listening. The manager added, "There's also a seating chart here. Isaac's name is assigned to this table." Tessa's confidence cracked instantly. "Oh, well, I thought—" "You assumed," Isaac said quietly. And that hit harder than yelling ever could. She backed off, muttering, trying to save face, but it didn't matter, because everyone saw it, and once people see it, you can't undo that. Friend groups have a strange kind of trust, the kind that breaks quietly until it doesn't. Lucy didn't just lose money, she lost trust, and this is where it gets worse. Lucy had organized a group gift. Simple idea. Everyone contributes, they buy something meaningful. Cole volunteered to collect the money, seemed responsible, reliable, until things started not adding up. "Wait, I thought we had more in the fund?" "Yeah, I sent mine weeks ago." Cole always had an answer, always had an excuse, but something felt off, and here's what he didn't expect. Lucy started checking, going back through messages, looking at timestamps, comparing payments, because when something doesn't feel right, it usually isn't. And the more she looked, the clearer it became. Payments were sent, but not accounted for. And that should have been the end, but Lucy didn't confront him privately. She waited for the right moment. The group met up, casual setting, everyone relaxed, laughing, talking, until Lucy stood up, phone in hand. "I just want to clear something up." The room quieted. She started showing screenshots, payment confirmations, dates, times, and these were all sent. She looked directly at Cole, and somehow they disappeared. Silence. Heavy silence. Cole tried to laugh. "Wait, hold on, there's an explanation." But no one was laughing, because now it was obvious. He hadn't just mismanaged it, he'd taken advantage of everyone. And Lucy, she didn't raise her voice, she didn't need to, because the proof spoke louder than anything else. And in moments like that, there's nowhere left to hide. And the crazy part is, situations like this happen more often than people think. So if you had to deal with this, what would you have done?